Hello there, Sagittarius, and welcome to my channel, Joy to the World, and I'm your reader, Melissa Joy. We are extremely up close and personal because I'm blocking the wind, all right, friend? I'm not blocking the spirit. We're letting that flow on through. And it's talking about the key. And Ophiuchus was showing up in my meditation before I turned the camera on. And we're stepping into the era of Ophiuchus. No, I'm not hawking a loogie. No, I am not coughing or barfing in the back of my throat. So Ophiuchus is who Chiron becomes. Your wound becomes your victory, your glory, not putting platitudes around it or trying to assign purpose or meaning when you don't genuinely feel it. Oh, I'm talking full circle. Like that mind going, oh, you mean I'm included in this life? And they were talking about you not continuing to just expand because some of that expansion is distraction. Another rabbit trail, another corner, another bend, and letting the self chase after satisfaction. When they're talking about satisfaction is in the swallow. Satisfaction is in the swallow. Do you swallow? I don't know, Sagittarius. You're so cheeky, friend. You're so cheeky. You're so cheeky. And this is way more about the green fields in the background than it is the tiger and these cubs. Some of it's about you settling down and coming home. Coming home, Sagittarius. Key to the door of your heart and your heart of hearts. Because there's a brain in your heart. It needs a secondary space to keep the communication between the heart and the lungs so that oxygen can fill the blood. It can power the blood. So there's that divine communication going on inside of yourself and something so sacred and holy, which is what? Your victory, your success, and not like check marks and money and races to be won and all that. We're talking about living, all right? Having health and wealth, because wealth is money and beyond. It is privilege, it is opportunity, it is favor. It's like backstage passes being given to you, or somebody offering you a helicopter ride so you don't have to fight the traffic, right? Or saying, oh, you can have my upfront parking space. I'll be out of town for the week. And you're like, oh, in the middle of my favorite concert. I must have a music lover up in here. And you're like, truth, 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 speak the truth, Joy. Look at that. Swan has been showing up a lot lately. It's time for change, friends. And change is not daunting, but meaning the way in which Sagittarius has been going in this big outward flow, there's a bit of a pathway right now. They're wanting you to go from the big GPS out, down and zoom in to your heart and into your home and begin to follow that path. Take a closer look inside. Inside what? Ooh, inside the sun. Inside the sun. You might also want to look wherever your Mars is. That can give you some insight into that expenditure of energy that you've been having towards the chasing the rabbit tails and whatever else. They're wanting to recover that. Imagine if you could recover some poor investments. And you're like, well, maybe I didn't win, but if I could just get back the money I lost, 333. Talking about your imagination. They're like perfection right there. Let's start right there. Can I recover what I lost? Because ultimately energy just changes forms and location, whatever else. It's not lost. So you don't have to keep traveling and expanding in order to gain the fullness of wisdom. Because they're talking about the pearl is already formed. The layers of wisdom are contained therein. And you don't get to them by cracking layers off the pearl. No, the pearl is beautiful. You get it by taking time with the pearl. By being the pearl, allowing the mind to divine like that because it had a sense of purity. Because when you were trying to just, let's jump to the topic, let's jump around here, and talk about the purity of your heart, which is the octopus in this deck, and it shows up with a silver pentacle. There's no need to diminish or question anymore. And that's not where your favor comes from, is doing the right things and pursuing the right things and coming to peace and closure at the end of the day. They want that spark to catch up with you, because that spark is like it's that beautiful crackle of the fire. You know when you're watching a fire and it has the little sparks that are going off, but they're not going to burn you. That's that little flash, that little effervescence. It's like effervescence, like the bubbles on a soda. some carbonated beverage, but this is fire. That's like the bubbling of your mind showing up, and you're like, okay, 05, I'm getting you some here. So it really has more to do with the power of choice, how many choices you have. That's what they're saying, is it kept being like the same registry and response of where you found pleasure when you were maybe a teenager. Like, this is how I do it. This is how I find it. And it came during a time that there was a bit of limitation on you, a bit of restriction. And you're like, I didn't see it. I didn't know that. But it's that because you had such a big sense of self, which is beautiful. But you were operating in someone else's home, someone else's guidelines, someone else's time, maybe someone else's decision of what's for dinner. And they're wanting you to really get into a lot of the deliciousness of personal decisions. Now, this isn't about, oh, they're coming towards you and whom, whatever. No, when you wake up, the deliciousness inside of you, friend, it's like the few people who got the golden ticket into the chocolate factory. They get to go in and see the inner workings. It's like, wow, wow, wow. And they were wanting to sneak and snoop into the secrets so they could sell it to someone who was actually on the team, thinking they could get around anything. But this is you we're talking about, going into the chocolate factory with that open wonder, like Charlie, like, wow, this is transformational. This is more than I could think and imagine. I didn't even know it was a possibility on the horizon. But that's the thing. Jupiter wants to expand in you now, inside you. Because when Charlie got in, his golden self started to shine. And when he was true to himself and not his grandfather, who had been dead in the bed until this promise came about, generational death, this life coming in, then it begins with you and stepping into that place of discovering your deliciousness, your divineness, the taste, the preferences, those things that cause you to linger rather than pop up and go. It won't turn into laziness. Matter of fact, it's going to hold this nuance, like almost like a DNA imprint. Like when you're tasting something new and you're moving it around your mouth, 0707, and wondering, what does this taste like? And not what have I been through that it tastes like. How about you say, what does this taste like to me? Get back into the sounds of pleasure, into the sensation, because that it takes that base root chakra feeling really good to make the sizzle around your head, the little firefly energy around your head, and to open you up to the idea of this new life, this new experience that everywhere you go, there you are. And it is full of pleasure, without the weight, without the expense, without the expanse, without the... Because you're seeking the big picture. It takes that big picture like a movie screen and it brings it home. It brings it into the still point. That's interesting. That is interesting. And you're coming from high heights, friends, so it's going to get you high in a whole different way. It's going to get you stirred up in a different way. It's going to lead and guide you in a different way. Now, it will become external, maybe even the moment you do it, but it's wanting you to back up and change the direction in which you're moving and where it was coming from. Well, I'm excited for you, friend. I hope that's something for you to mull over and to improve your life and the enjoyment and satisfaction that you have every day, because your pleasure, your joy makes a world of difference to my world. Because as we all get in the truth of our experience, it takes the trash out by itself. All right, friend, leave me a thumbs up down below. Maybe you'll join the channel here. I'd love to have you. And leave me some comments or tell me where you're from down below, and I'll be like, oh, hi, friend. All right, until next time, I love you. Bye.